Os Hillman here with an encouraging word for you today from my devotional TGIF, Today God is First. Today's message is entitled Starting Over. James 1:9 says the brother in humble circumstances ought to take pride in his high position. Do you find yourself in humble circumstances? If so, James tells us that we're to take pride in this position. He calls it a high position. These two things would seem to be an oxymoron. Most of us would not consider humble circumstances a high position. Successful business tells us that being on top means being wealthy, attaining favor and status, or having power to influence. However, Jesus influenced not from power, but from weakness. J.C. Penney is a name synonymous with department store. He first launched his chain of the Golden Rule stores in 1907. In 1910, his first wife died. 3 years later, he incorporated as the J.C. Penney Company. In 1923, his second wife died, giving birth to his son. And in 1929, the stock market crashed, and he lost $40 million. By 1932, he had to sell out to satisfy creditors. This left Penney virtually broke. Crushed in spirit from his loss and his health suddenly failing, Penney wound up in a Battle Creek, Michigan sanitarium. One morning he heard the distant singing of employees who gathered to start the day with God. Be not dismayed, whatever betide, God will take care of you. Penney followed the music to its source and slipped into a back row. He left a short time later a changed man, his health and spirit renewed and ready to start the long climb back at age 56. By 1951, there was a J.C. Penney store in every state, and for the first time, sales surpassed $1 billion a year. The success of J.C. Penney can be traced to God's mercy in his life to bring him out of his humble circumstance. Do you find yourself in a humble circumstance? God is the only one who can help you see your humble circumstance from his viewpoint, a high position. It is a high position because of what God is going to teach you in this place. He does not intend for you to stay there. It is merely a stopping place to learn some important things you would not learn otherwise. Press into God and trust Him for the outcome to your circumstances. You know, when we go through those humble circumstances, He's doing something in our lives that we cannot understand at the time. He's making a deposit, and He's creating humility in us in order to identify with the challenges that other people will go through. And so my prayer for you today is that you'll have the grace to be able to receive whatever circumstance God brings your way, and realize that God turns all things together for good for those called according to your purpose. And so I come in agreement with you today that we'll both live at that place in Jesus' name. God bless. Have a great day.